Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Simuuwe. How are you? Hello.
How are you? I'm fine, and how are you?
Fantastic, fantastic. Long time. How things been?
Sorry?
A long time. How things been?
Yeah, I've been fine. Yes, a long time. I've been fine. I was waiting for yesterday. I was even ready to log in. Then I discovered there was no program.
Yeah, yesterday we had some commitments and all this stuff. Everybody was actually having commitments that yesterday, so it couldn't happen. Yeah, but we're here today.
Yeah, today I'm available.
That's good. I'm sure you got some latest information for us.
Yeah, not really. I've been busy moving up and down, so I'll just see things on social media. What
Uh-huh.
was happening?
Eh.
Yes.
No, you must have some given Ruvinda stories there.
At he fired those PF MPs who voted for Bill 7. They
Yes.
fired, they expelled. So,
Eh.
and then Chavinga, Chaps International also responded to say, he fired who? Because I'm the owner of the PF. So now, it's Kafafa, we don't know who's firing who.
Exactly. It's a little bit strange, because the PF, the way it stands, as it stands, it's a party that has got no direction.
Uh,
You know,
that-
you know.
yeah, yes, that is the problem. I think the problem of PF, um, okay, in short, they are arrogant. I think, yeah, they are arrogant, and those people, they don't get advice. And then another thing that cost them, even they are it's like failing to accept the reality. Them, they are thinking that they think that they are still have in power, or maybe they are just on waiting room to say someone will come and tell, go now, get the power. It's like now, okay, they are on observation, like the HH is on observation, them, they will come and take over. That's what they're still thinking.
Yeah,
I
that's true.
think
That's true.
they have to realize that you are in opposition. I think that is what they're supposed to do. I think that move of firing, it's really cost, because we are in opposition. You start firing.
Eh.
If you fire, like for example, 30 MPs, they have a constituents. There's a constituent that voted for those people. How many people, when they go back to the constitution, to the constituents, to go and decampaign the same PF, what will
Mm.
happen?
Mm.
Yes,
Is
that
it?
is a disaster. So what they are supposed to do, if they are just intelligent enough, they are supposed to embrace, to say, okay, yes, you voted for this. Just congratulating them. What they want is important. What is needed is numbers,
That's true.
not firing and whatever. That one is not going anywhere, because there are all those people behind who are not maybe even seeing, who are supporting them for those people to go and vote. So, like, I think like what happened in those, is it the Copper Belt, whatever secretary, that's all resigned.
Oh, the chairman, yes.
Yes,
Steady Mwali.
yes. So
You know,
those are the results.
if
Then
you see
also,
people like Steady Mwali resigning, then it actually gives you, a position to tell you where they are right now. You see
yeah,
what I'm saying?
exactly. You
So,
can't go and fire.
so
So,
that's
I think given Ruvinda, is a problem. Is a problem, that one. It's not taking PF anywhere. It's not taking PF anywhere.
well.
That's why there's drama after drama. Drama. Even,
Mm,
I think they didn't pray. I don't know if these people, they are amateurs. I don't know. Or they're
no,
just doing things
no,
anyhow.
that's
You know,
true.
sometimes
But
you
given
can find out.
is actually very senior in the patriotic front. Very, very
Exactly.
senior. Very senior.
Exactly. Because they didn't play very well. Even the coming back of the red ECL, they didn't play cards very well. Even for this same funeral that for the Edgar, also they failed to play a smart game. They failed. The problem is that they don't get advice, and they think that they know everything. That's the problem. But they are supposed to take time, study the situation, and then come in. Not what they are doing. They are not going. It's total confusion. That's why they even put the convention on oath, because the moment they just elect the leader there, that is the end, completely dead PF. Yes.
No, we got Vakazia. Vakazia, welcome to the show. After a long time. He has been in hiatus?
No, I was kicked out of the group. I was kicked out of the group because I was being very critical, hoping that this time I have stopped being critical, but no, actually, it's reloaded. Yeah.
No, if anybody's views are important. We don't really mind about people's different views. I think at this point it's all about.
That's why I appreciate you, Batanda, very, very, very much. Yeah, that is a Democrat in you going back to say, okay, even if a person shares a different view, it must be heard. That's how Democrats behave. So thank you very much, Batanda, for
that. You're welcome. Actually, we just been talking about PF and the destruction of the party as it stands. And Basim Konda was actually bringing out important points relating to the fact that the Patriotic Front right now is in disarray. It's in a position where nobody knows where they are going. Are they going backwards? Are they going front? What's going? Who's the leader? Like, people are being fired left, right, and center. Maybe coming from you, what's your take on Luvinda's position to fire, the 30 members of parliament that voted for Bill 7?
See, every party, I think, has principles under which they are collectively agree. And this can also be seen from the UPND. They all sit down and make a position, and anyone who went outside the position was dealt with. Basata did that as well, and it is important that members of parliament, when you represent a party, if you have to take a party position, not your position, because the party really has a lot of say, and the people that. Now, I was listening to some of the members of parliament saying, I sat down and I analyzed, I made the decision. It's good when you sit down, you analyze, then you go down to your constituents and consult the people to say, this is how I've analyzed it, and this is how I intend to go, so that you hear the views of the people that you represent, and then you kind of take a position whether you're voting for it or not. So you can't single-handedly do everything there because you do not represent your views. There's no member of parliament who should ever present his views. The views you must present is for the people that they represent. And that's why the people, some of the people that they represent are very upset about some of these members of parliament. So that's the thing. But the destruction of PF is long seen because there's always an invisible hand. I was laughing at one of the quotes that I found that, you see, if someone is stepping on your foot and then you tell the person, say, yeah, you're stepping on my foot. I said, no, don't blame me who is stepping on your foot. Blame the shoemaker. The one who made the shoe is the one you should be blaming. And this is exactly what I see mostly around the UPND going after the destruction of PF and saying, no, we are not involved. The blame ECL and the blame Honorable Given Luvinda for that. But Chubbs is the making of UPND. He's very clear, he has said it. And so that is what we see for our democracy. So that is what I see, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Just hold on. You're saying that Chubbs is a creation of what?
It's a creation of the UPND.
How?
Number one, Chubbs. If you ask, if you see the process which brings in Chubbs and the legal processes that are supposed to follow in a part which is already stated, everything is written in terms of how they will choose who's the leader. Chubbs is chosen by Miles Sampa according to what he himself says. And then later on, Mao Sampa fires him. Then the person appointed Mao Sampa fires Mao Sampa. And then the next thing is that he goes to endorse the UPND. How do you endorse without a conference? Because an endorsement of a position on the party working with other, the leadership of the party must make the decision, not one person. Not one person.
I'm a little bit confused. I'm confused here.
Yes, you should be confused. That's why I'm telling you that I don't expect
because,
you.
Okay. You're saying, first of all, okay, before let's hold that thought. We'd like to welcome Ramasha. Ramasha is joining us. He just logged in. Ramasha, we're discussing the disarray and disruption of the Patriotic Front as we know it. Are these the last kicks of a dying horse? Is it the end for the Patriotic Front? And former PS here, is saying the whole blame is on UPND. Now, my question was like, look, he himself is saying Mao Sampa appointed Chabinga. Now, Mao Sampa, is Mao Sampa a UPND member or is a Patriotic Front member?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's where the confusion is, because this UPND, this PF actually confusion is a creation of its own. It's got the UPND has got nothing to do with this, because Mao Sampa he stood up and said, "I want to be the president." He appointed his right hand man, and then when everything went sour, now you start pointing fingers at the UPND. That's where people are confused. Like, why are you blaming the UPND for your own confusion?
Vachanda.
Go ahead, Rasumkonda. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. For me, I can't really say I can't blame the UPND, the confusion that the PF were facing. I think when you go back, I think the PF, they didn't play cards very well. And the reason why they are in this total confusion, the first thing, they failed to accept losing election. That is the beginning of everything. They failed to accept that. And then when you go back to the history, how did MMD was destroyed?
Hello.
So if we are going to agree to say PF destroyed MMD, then which means also UPND is destroying PF. If you remember very well, before the election for, I think that was 2021. There was two presidents in MMD. There was Nevas Mumba and Felix Mutati. That's where now the Nakachinda coming from, the Felix Mutati and the Bomani Rusambo, all those they are coming from another faction of MMD to join what? PF. Yeah. So by the time the case was concluding, it was I think that was 2016 elections. The elections were already passed. That's where now they formally join the PF. So here there's nothing to say. PF, they are supposed to be crying, oh, MMD this, and can UPND this. Also, they are responsible for MMD. They are responsible for that. So that one shouldn't be a cry to say, no, they have to start crying. No, the first thing, they failed to accept the losing election. That is the beginning. And if we remember very well, when they said you are going to do a post-mortem while we lost the election, I think it was less than I don't know if it's 1 month, and then they say, no, we're going to reorganize ourselves. No, that was too early. They didn't do well. And this confusion started while the PF was all still in power. That's when it started. It started when Sata died. There's Edgar Lungu faction. Also, there was Mao Sampa. And also there was the Guy Scott. So that's where the confusion is, and they failed to resolve those problems. They totally failed. They didn't do anything. They were just sugarcoating to show to us to say everything. There was issues. There was also those malinking audios which was coming out. If you remember, there was also issues of is it Chitalishukat Kasama, whatever, something like that, while the PF was in power. So this problem, they failed to handle it while they were in power. That's why now today, see, causing this confusion that they're having today. So, chaps joining or supporting UPND, that is not a problem. Freedom of what? Association. That is what it is.
Okay.
I submit.
Anyway, let's bring in about Marsha because he might cut off. I'm sure maybe he's at work or something. Himwami.
Vamacha valaisa nobody nefya kushimika eni kofe panono za
Okay.
something and
So vamashina vagazia.
Mwachisa Mputula. You see, you cut me when I was explaining that Mukonda comes in and things like that. I was putting my submission, and I was my submission is very clear. I told you to say Chabs is a creation of the UPND government. It's fine. They can create and support him because outside the UPND, Chabs doesn't have the base. He needs to create a base for him to be recognized. He is recognized as a president within the UPND. UPND ni mwemu support. If I'm trying to example, someone is stepping. It's not my problem. The problem is what happened. So Chabs is a creation, and he knows it. He's said it. So you don't have to convince anyone to say, "Oh no, he's working independently." Yes, you are finding people to blame for that. If you're Chabs is stepping on PF when PF is crying, then you guys are saying, "No, you can't blame Chabs." No, blame Wapangile Sapato, not the one stepping on your toes, which is hating. That is exactly what is going on. But it is fine. These are the politics that we have gotten as a people. Because a life of 50 years where the opposition, a leader of opposition, and be protected from security.
Mute if you got two phones, just mute the other one.
Myself,
I don't know whoever I think click background noise there for me. So if you're not talking, just mute yourself, guys. Let's have a clear discussion. So if you're not talking, mute yourself, and then if you want to talk, you can unmute yourself.
Niba macha abukwati muli. Eba kwete let's say mute nani.
Macha, are you there? Just mute yourself for now. Maybe it's on the road or something.
Yeah, but he needs to mute himself.
Okay, I'll sort that out. So,
Vamacha vaisa nomba.
Okay, mute yourself, Vamacha.
Hello.
So Vamacha, just mute yourself for now. Let's him.
Vaisa nomba Vamacha.
Let Wakazia finish his point, and then you can contribute so that we have some sort of coordination and order. Okay, just wait for him to finish, and then you can make a submission. And we also welcome Brian. Brian has joined us from Canada. All right, go ahead. Finish your point.
So in a quick conclusion, Vachanda, it is a question of he has more support within the current government and the supporters of the current government than his own party. Because where is he going to even address a meeting? Hello? Where is he going to even see what is happening with others? And the conversation is, the protection is coming from the government. And you guys that support the UPND, you are the ones that are in there to protect Chabs. But it is fine if that is a democracy that people sign for themselves, because this is just the beginning. Another party will come and take over. But Konda was saying, oh, is it that PF destroyed?
Hello?
If I not, and I've never been PF myself, I was just a civil servant. You understand? And this one, I'm giving my personal opinion. It's not the opinion of the Patriotic Front or any party. It is mine in terms of what I've seen happen in the political sense. So that is how I see it. And this will Chavinga Eusenderich, the Nanya never given. Nanya never given that no given that Chavinga is making a problem. Chavinga telling problem. Pangire, new Pangire Chavinga, Edgar Lungu, who is dead. That is how where the blame goes. We must deal with problems and the causes of problems. The cause of problems in PF is Chavinga, supported by the UPND government. If the UPND government let democracy go, Chavinga will have no base. And I wish him, if he's a leader, let him create a base so that people can know, okay, this is the PF president, and people can support him from a position of the opposition leader. But you can't be there praising the UPND for anything. They say, no, I'm an opposition leader. What? It doesn't make sense. That is how I can submit. That's my conclusion.
Okay. Masha, I think you had some words. You wanted to say something. You can now go ahead.
Yes, I mean now. Good afternoon or good evening. I'm calling from Stratford-upon-Avon in England. Now, Patriotic Front must have learned its lessons by now, where, especially after being in power, they tested power and how they handle themselves after power. It should be attached with there has to be some decency and dignity. You know, to have a convention that that was a sham and they kept quiet all that long. Mao Sampa went on and held it. It was going on. It went up to Miles Sampa handing over power. At one point, going to Edgar, handing over power. There was all that drama. And now that Chavinga is leader of opposition in parliament, it has become such an issue. PF had all the time to correct this mess. If they want to correct it now, yes, it will attract a lot of attention. It will even spill over to UPND as maybe being the cause. But PF failed to put their house in order long time ago. They had the opportunity. So they cannot blame UPND. They expose their vulnerability. You know, poverty is very bad, especially that poverty of the mind. I would accuse PF to be suffering from poverty of the mind. They didn't do their homework. Because if they had known very well in advance, say, this would be a problem, they should have sat down with Chavinga, Mao Sampa, the late Edgar Lungu, and everyone, all the top brass. Okay, can we resolve this mess? Because we are a former ruling party, a party that had clout, you know what I mean by clout, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Even in opposition, they are supposed to have clout. This is what contributes to us people not having faith in opposition parties. We lose trust because of how they misbehave. Even after they are out of power, they misbehave. They are in power, they misbehave. Out of power, they misbehave. Now, who do they want to blame? No. You know, you have to be serious. UPND is out of this. Maybe UPND was just looking for low-hanging fruits, and one such fruit was the PF. So why leave it? Kuri yakamoneka. Nishinanga chuli loko ya mfawule fili kutali. Vachana. Na kwesha. This is a divergent view. PF was a low-hanging fruit. Okay. PF was a low-hanging fruit. PF was a low-hanging fruit.
Anyway, politics are politics. But in any case, let's welcome Dr. Chikonka, who just joined us, Michelo. How are you today, Dr. Konka?
Okay. Oh, I'm good. I'm good. How are you guys? Sorry. I came in late. You know, Sundays are usually very hard but whatever chance to get in, you get in. I found the low hanging fruit conversation. I'm like, what is going on there?
No,
Yeah, no, I'm just
what we just to bring you up to speed, we're
yeah.
talking about the destruction of
Then,
the patriotic front.
Uh-huh.
The patriotic front seems to be, in their last dying years, and
Okay,
it's not
yeah,
like
yeah,
the last kick of a dying horse. This one
yeah.
says this one is firing each other. Lubinda is saying he's fired 30 MPs, and the
Yeah,
question is, does he have the power to fire those people? Because
right.
the person that we know that who has the, like Bakalinda says, Lugwalo, is
Uh-huh.
Tabinga.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
And so that's where we are. And Bagazia is trying to defend, saying, blaming it on the UPND to say we are the cause of the distraction. Like, how? I
uh,
don't
mm,
understand where
mm,
we come in. I don't
and
get it.
okay, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying that PF was a low hanging fruit. Maybe let me shed some light on this one. Mangoes or any other fruit, they are in
Mhm.
different positions. There are those that are hanging low, those that are middle, and those are at the topmost. Now when UPND looks at this mango tree or this orange tree, the fruits are pitched at different heights.
Mhm.
Now, why look for a ladder to go for the highest fruit, which is very difficult to get, when
Yeah,
there's a low hanging fruit where you just
yeah,
require less effort and you eat? Come on, we need politics. They need nutrients. One of the
mhm,
nutrients they could easily, or vitamin C, or
yeah.
vitamin P, whatever you can call it, which they wanted, which they could easily get, was the PF, and
Yes,
it's gone.
yes.
Basically,
Yeah.
if PF had put a strategy that they should not make themselves as a low hanging fruit,
Mhm.
put their standards high beyond the reach of UPND, this could not have happened. They are to blame. They
Yeah,
cheapened themselves to
yeah,
anarchy,
mhm,
lawlessness, to just squabbles within themselves. A
yeah,
house that is torn among itself, the, the
yeah,
center
yeah.
could not hold. Things fell apart because the center could not hold, and we can't blame the outsiders for your
Mhm.
inside. Munganda mulelwa every day, you want to blame the neighbor? No, 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 no. Come on. Blame your bashimukombe, Ifuri watanda ndelande firi kumtima ine.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I
Go
submit.
ahead, Dr. Michelo, Dr. Konka, go ahead and put your submission on this one.
Uh, I kind of like where I'm coming through, but here I think the gentleman has spoken the very truth. Honestly, the PF are self-destructing in a way. They put themselves here. They cannot blame nobody for it. And I think let's just be real here. PF was a criminal enterprise that did not have any direction where it was going from the beginning. And this is even its inception as the leadership of our country was all wrong in a way that they didn't have anywhere they're going with it, with the leadership or even the direction of the country. All they came here that was just to pante up until where we are now, until somebody came and said, wait a second, this thing is getting to destruction, and we took it over. But other than that, I think for them to stand up and start blaming other people for what has been going on, it is just malice. In the end, they just put themselves here. Now, you can see the difficulties that they have right now. Personally, I don't even know who the leader of PF is. I know Chavinga seems to have some control of some kind, and then you have Lubinda on the other side, and I'm like, now, Malukula is coming on the other side. It's like, what is going on here? Mrs. Lungu is part of it. It's like, we don't even know who leads this party anymore. We are not even sure if Edgar Lungu is dead or nothing. But so they're here for a reason. They put themselves here, and I think the best they can do is to disband the whole thing, like MMD did, dismantle the whole thing, and maybe come up with a different name. Join a small party and just rise up through there. But as it is, they cannot be taken seriously by any well-meaning Zambian that they are in an opposition. I think they're just a noise-making group that just don't know what they even want to begin with. Even the MPs do not have direction now. What they're doing in the parliament is that now they're literally siding with our policies and just supporting it. You know, if you want to stay in the job, support the policies. They can't even stand up and say, no, these things are different. No, they are literally part of us. So I feel like they put themselves here.
Yeah, very true. The PF as it stands, I think it's a party that, like we're saying, it's in its last years, and it's a party that is at self-destruction.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So it's a self-destructive organization as we look at it right now, because they.
Can I
them-
ask
Mhm.
something? You know,
Let me
I'm about
just finish.
to.
Let me just finish.
Okay.
So the PF is a self, they're in the self, they're in self-destructive mode as it is. So it's going to boom at any point at any time, because even if you look at the way this bill was amended, and you could tell, like, look, if they go on the internet, on the media, they talk in a different language, but when they go home and read, they say, no, but this makes sense. And then when when it's time to vote, they're like, okay, you know what? I have to put Zambia first. Which a normal human being should that shouldn't surprise any human being. Okay? This is you remove politics when you're talking about national issues, and if you are put in place to put to give service to your constitution, or to your members you're representing in parliament, you have to put the nation first, not your political ambition or your political party first. So that's where the PF are confused, and that's why they don't understand why their own MPs voted for this bill, because we're looking at it, but PF, Patriotic Front's politics are a little bit outdated. They're not moving with the times. They are very, 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 very outdated, to a point where even their own members now yeah, go ahead, Amash. I think you wanted to point out something.
Order is everything. Order is everything. You see, when we talk about disorganization or disorientation, PF as a party does not even know, they have no priorities. A case in point is where they have failed to have their former party president buried. They're the cause. Now they have started politicking. How do you go to campaign and tell people that Lungu look, Lungu may so rest in peace. He's done his work. That's the first symbol of disorganization. Put your house in order. Bury Lungu first. Then you go for politics, for campaigning. Secondly, I would say PF is in the moribund stage. You know, currently there's an argument, socialists are saying that capitalism is dying out. It's in the dying stage. But capitalists also say, no, there's nothing that's happening. Capitalism forever and ever, amen. So is PF. PF, if they don't know, they are in the dying stage. They are, even their prophet, Davis Muir, has put it very clear to say, look, there's nowhere we're going. Mass resignations are going to be seen very soon. Those 30 MPs that were allegedly, I'm using the word allegedly fired because by then there's a law that protects those MPs. There can't be no by-elections. Yes, the Chawama by-election is there because it happened at a time when there was no such law. But now with those 30 MPs, the law protects them. So you have a party president, one who claims to be a party president of a faction, saying these people are expelled. Who is the legal advisor to this given Luvinda? Who cannot even advise him to say, sir, you can't stand as a president because you are barred by the nationality clause. I don't know. Confusion is I don't know. Confusion is inside confusion. It's not about you. It's not about
what's the difference between him and Guy Scott?
No, you see, him and Guy Scott, the thing was clear. That was at a time, but now they must have known to say, okay, if there was an issue about Guy Scott, let's perfect this. I submit.
Have you muted my mic?
No, we can hear you. We can hear you. Nobody has muted you.
Okay, I want to discuss a few things here and respond
Okay,
to
go ahead. Go ahead. It's a free country.
You see, Wajanda, this is where our democracy will be in the bin in the next maybe 5-10 years. It will just collapse.
There will be better political parties by then.
But political parties, it's okay. If we are dictatorship, so be it. I don't care. I don't have a problem with that because it's our choice. If you choose, every country gets the leaders they deserve. When we start here, meaning given that national, if to have a part of the people that are echoing what David said, which doesn't make sense whatsoever. I don't believe in that. It's just sad, guys. No. That's sad.
You know, Batanda.
Let me finish.
For David to come out in that manner is getting powers somewhere. Which means that is what we are discussing inside there with the friend. That's why it came out to say. It's not. He didn't say on his own. No.
So that we know how to respond.
Not that
I'm protecting Mr. Kazia. I'm protecting Mr. Kazia here. Why should you treat that man?
One person is talking. I think that is the best way to do. And unless you say, when you start talking, if I'm quiet, I should start as well.
You have the floor now,
Go ahead now. Go ahead now. Let's go ahead now.
If it was confused, I'm listeners. Never to Ambogo Sangula Quatic.
Go ahead.
If I'm just quiet listening, account. That is exactly.
Go ahead.
As I was saying, it is very, very, very primitive for anyone to go after, given when I start talking about nationality, but we should never know. It's primitive. Such things are just primitive. For me, where I stand, if I see someone goes after given, it's like someone going after a tribe. It's primitive. When you hear someone start opening your mouth and start talking about tribal things, when you need running the country, it's primitive. If we want to be primitive, we have to do it by choice, by choosing what we conversate and where we put the emphasis. For that conversation, which just demeans a person, he never chose to be born and the parents, he never did that. And we must be able to understand and respect that and tell Abana that this kind of talk is not a talk that brings one Zambia, one nation together. It is not this talk. Because if my child listens to that and is asking me questions, how do I explain? How do I explain about the person who was a minister, leader? How do I explain? How do I explain about integration? How do I even open my mouth? I'm at bay. But if I say, no, that's not the conversation we're interested in, let's talk about developing our country as a unit. Number, back to the politics about PF and all that. Guys, half the time, look at this. You can spend 1 hour talking just about PF, which is dead. According to you, why are you talking about dead? It's because it has something that threatens you. The country is not about you, PND and PF. There are many, many other people, stakeholders that are interested in seeing the country develop. But this kind of every time got ni PF na UPND. What is so special about PF and UPND? There's nothing special about it. People choose. When they choose leaders, the leaders must lead according to the wishes of the people, not according to their own wishes.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah, that's a good point. I agree with him.
Okay, so question is this. Okay, since we're not really interested in the patriotic front as it is, like we're saying, it's a dying, but has given Luvinda have the power to fire 30 members of parliament, and if he does have the power, what next? Are we going to have by-elections? What does the Patriotic Front itself as a party constitution say? And what does the constitution of Zambia really say about going about issues like this? So we have two things. There's a party in play, and parliament rather, because the members of they stand in parliament, and according to Cornelius Mwita, what he was saying was like, whatever the business is done in parliament, they are protected by the constitution of parliament. So whatever business is done or handled here, they cannot be reprimanded by their party, so to say. So what are we talking about here?
So you are very right. That question is very important. First of all, it was nothing to do with what is going in PF to even start there and say, oh, but PF if it's like, let's say I would give the general secretary of PF, but Rafa Nakachinda start and saying, oh, but UPN, the decision you've made about your own internal people and this is wrong. No, you leave that to the party. The party will make a decision. Whether they fight, whether they do what, if they're destroying it should not be your business. Let them completely destroy themselves.
I want to jump in there.
Because if they are going to go into self-destruction by the decisions they make, it should not be a problem for UPND. Actually, UPND must strengthen structures and not to focus on them to say, oh, that is so internal. Let them handle it the way they do it within their political party. No, but anyway, being a minister.
Konda, let me jump in quickly. I know I haven't contributed to this conversation.
Go ahead, Doctor. Go ahead.
Wachanda.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just want to air on Vasim Konda's remarks there. I think what Vasim Konda just told us there is exactly what he tried to tell us at the start of the conversation.
No, this is
Wakazia. Okay, yeah, sorry, Wakazia, yeah. So I think from what I pick up is that it's very obvious. I know we can, no matter how we can try to deny, but the UPND has a foot in the Chavinga thing as well. Right? Just look at the way they move, and even whenever there's any confusion happening in the PF, the government spokesperson still comes out and discusses the PF. So yes, I do agree that they are self-destructing themselves, but I would say 20-30% of that has been engineered by us as well. So that's where I stand in this issue, and I think as UPND, we shouldn't really focus on what's happening in the PF. I think we should focus more on our own party structures and delivering what we promised the people, because we did promise a lot. No matter how we cut and slice it, we did promise a lot to the Zambian people.
Shocked me, but you have known the head. You are the first one, first person.
Look how he's moving, gentlemen. Look how the guy is moving. Whenever you see an opposition political party marveling the president, Dali smiling, hugging. Audio, you can even go back all those audio leaks trying to defend that it was AI. Those were signs. Those were signs that I don't think UPND needed to meddle into PF to make them disappear. They would have still gone on the destruction path, right? But now we are attached to them because we have invested, or we've tried to push the Kavinga thing into the equation, right? So somehow we are linked to this whole thing. That's how I see it.
Okay. So hold on. That's your opinion. Don't say we, because if you say we, it means you're endorsing the whole party.
I'm not endorsing them as that, but I'm just saying like we as a party.
That's your personal opinion. Now, me, I can tell you my own personal opinion. The UPND has got nothing to do with the destruction that's happening in the
so Wachanda, if I say that's also your opinion, what are you gonna tell me? If I say that's also your opinion,
that's also my
your opinion.
Because
what
I'm looking at is this, and I got reasons, right? So, and the reasons are here. One, the UPND as a party on its own, we don't need PF. We all know that the PF is already it's a dead party. So what benefit are we going to get from it? Like, they're not a
full
threat.
control, right?
I can
It's
tell you
more
the
It's not a
like,
threat.
benefits.
I'll tell
It's,
you
I
the
tell you the
benefits as
benefits.
well.
listen to my
The
point.
benefits are there.
Listen
I'll
to my
tell you the
point.
benefits as well.
No, listen to my point. The UPND party, they don't have any teeth in the PF wrangles. The PF wrangles started long time ago. Mwebantu. Let us bring you back to history. Okay? When Mouse Sampa held that convention to take over the PF party, because he was thinking, no, because he was in fact he's a nephew to the late Michael Sata. So he was saying, like, look, so the next logical position is for me to take over this party, because Wayama will be rumbling in his grave if we see this party go to somebody else. So it was up to himself to go and take over the party. When that happened, let's go back in history. That happened. What happened now? New structures, new people were being appointed and stuff like that. That's where Chavinga came in. Now, that's why I even asked Bagazia in the first place. I was like, look, is Mao Sampa a UPND member? No, he's not a UPND member. He went on his own to do that. And then later on, when he discovered or realized that, oh, damn, what am I doing? Right? Because sometimes these things are, it's not child's play. Like running a political party, the whole party, it's not child's play. You have to really have the muscle, the strength, the money, the budget, right? That's why everybody was, and then you realize that, oh man, Panomba, Kuti I am bankruptcy because I cannot be the only person, doing this. That's why he decided to go back again to PF and start talking to everybody else. And it's the first time. Remember, he went. He's the one that. Remember when he actually left PF and created his own party. If you could go back in history, he created his own party at one point. He created his own party. And then after he realized that, oh man, I can't do this, then he went back to begging, kneeling, including Balungu. Balungu brought him back. That's when he became the mayor. If you remember, then he became the mayor. After that, now again, same thing. So you can tell that this person, it's just it's on its own. Even that time, can you say it was UPND? No. You see, so these are really internal issues in the PF. It's got nothing to do with that.
So why is the government spokesperson constantly commenting on what's happening in the UPN in the
because
PF?
Maybe I can come in there.
A good question. Go ahead.
Can I come in? Politics. Let's all of us here admit one thing to say: politics is about numbers.
Yes.
The strength that a political party has is gained by the weaknesses that are in other political parties. It's about numbers. And for numbers, but under Tulipamwai, there are natural numbers, odd numbers, even numbers, prime numbers. Put together, that's what makes numbers. And I want to assume like PF is an odd number, UPND is an even number. Now for you to have all the numbers, you just need to bring all of them. You can't have just prime numbers throughout. No. Even them as UPND, they are looking at the potential. Not all leaders in PF are bad. Some are very good. So UPND sees chance. If we get that one, we can strategically put him there and he can make things right. Even when we talk about development, not all people in PF are bad. Not all leaders in PF are bad. Some are good and they can facilitate the development of the nation.
Like Sunday Chanda is a good example.
Yes. Right? The same thing even in UPND. There are some bad eggs who we don't need. We can, by that combination, the good and the bad put together is what brings about numbers. If you see one political party dying because members are crossing from it to another, it's good for a democracy. You know, democracy is not about a country being just quiet as if there's nothing to talk about. There'll always be tension. There'll be divergent views. There'll be people who will be different, just as we are different in this group here. We can't all think alike. I can't see my world through Chanda's. So that diversity should make us, I mean, it makes us different, but at the end of the day, we must be people that are talking about development of the nation. I will tell you one thing about the constitution of Zambia that talks about parentage. Presidential parentage must be Zambians. I'm not very sure, but there's something in the Namibian constitution that talks about their president having a flat nose. The president must have a flat nose.
In Namibia, the constitution?
Yes, somewhere. I don't know whether it's in the constitution, but when they were proposing that constitution, when they wanted to make presidential qualifications, there was an aspect of someone having a flat nose. You know what they didn't want? They didn't want a white man to rule them again. See? So parentage, when you talk about parentage, so president must be Zambian, parents must be Zambian. I think we know what we want there. We should not be educated on foreigner ruling us. People, that time is gone. We must be proud of our nation, proud of our own people leading this country. Given Luvinda, please, is a miss. Who could take on home colored? No. Here, I'm serious. It's our nation.
Okay.
It's our nation.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay, let him finish. Finish your point.
Listen, Zambia is our country, and let us Zambians be in charge of our destiny. Zambians, 72 languages. Let's be in charge. Others can come in, not at the level of presidents. There are many offices they can work at. Presidency, please. We should be free to rule ourselves. Freedom to make our mistakes, or freedom to not to make mistakes. That's what Kapwepo said. It's about independence. We should be free to make mistakes or not to make them as Zambians. Parentage clause for Luvinda.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, first of all, before we all come in and discuss this issue, I would like to bring in Brian Sakala. Brian, are you ready to hold on? Hold on.
They can come in then.
Brian, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. I mean, what's your take on all this?
On the Luvinda thing, or just like what I raised earlier?
Well, whatever, because what's happening now.
I think,
So we got issues. We have two issues. We got the parentage clause, and we got the self-destructing party, and we got the UPND having a hand in the PF destruction. Which, me personally, I don't think that is true.
Yeah, I think the Luvinda thing for me, where I stand is like, I think he's been like, I think he's known to be a Zambian all along. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't he part of UPND at some point, or no? Because I know these guys move around. So like for me, he's Zambian by birth, and like I don't see any issue in terms of like branding him as somebody who's not Zambian. I think we should do away with that. And I think for the most part, this is why we are where we are, right? It starts with small conversations. Oh, a Tonga can be president. It's this kind of conversation that's gonna bring like confusion in the country and changing camps. That's how like civil wars start over just like people deciding where to be. But we're all Zambians. So on that Luvinda front, I think there shouldn't be any question about his nationality. He's been running for MP for a long time. I don't get why it's different now. All of a sudden, it's become different, right? So that's why I stand. And then on the other conversation,
what's one sad thing, Brian, is this. One sad thing is this. This is all coming from the PF, and we all know the PF's mentor and their ideology.
Marcha is not PF.
Always the PF. When it comes to race,
Marcha is
number one.
not PF Batanda. Marcha is not
Let
PF.
me finish my point, okay? And if you want to discuss, you can come in and discuss later. But what I'm saying is this. This is coming from the PF camp, okay? And this is coming from the top leader, okay? Secretary General, okay? Davis Muira, former, defense minister. It's coming from his mouth,
Yeah.
okay? And if you look at the history of the Patriotic Front, they're a party that actually has been in the forefront of bringing this kind of talk and confusion. Okay, just look at go back in history. Look at look at all these other people.
So
the talk of tribal, race and all these things, they're coming from the PF camp. So these are the ones that are bringing all these things up. Us as UPND, we're not bringing it up. Have you ever heard a UPND talking about, oh, no, change? Look, that's why it's important sometimes, I think, from now going forward, members of parliament or whoever they are eyeing for presidency, let them, go out and bring and put a biography for themselves so that people know where I was born, what did you do, where and stuff like, so that people know who you are. Okay, it was the same thing. Even the question of Valungu not being you remember? You remember there was that question of Valungu not being in Zambia. May he so rest in peace if he's dead. So there was that question, and it came out when they were campaigning in the Eastern Province, and his own people, the campaign people that were with him, they were like, tapitirira pamunzi pano amdala pa things atantanako ambuya yao, nothing, you can't even go to your own village, but you're mfuma kumpika na ya kumushi kumpika ndep tafe mumbali nofika panani kale pamushi pali bachipepo webani tefo chava yukuya wafika festival wanaofika mu area waya mkumuna infumu shakupela kuna makana nani kale na knowledge. So that was the question that was happening there, like Valungu if ya champion ya Mutawari, and that's why the late Precious Wali in Mulongoti, they had all this information and they had it, and they were saying they will have the information, and they've died with that information. And he was actually challenging to say, can you please bring your actual NRC, and I'll bring the NRC that I have for you. Okay? So he died. So all these issues, just at least members of parliament, leaders, create some sort of a biography for people, for them to trace you, to see, oh, this is where you're coming from. So they even know your family tree and all these things, other than people guessing. So Balubinda, he needs just to go and for him to just get away from this. I can just give him free advice. Yamala, go and just create a biography about yourself. Go to your village so that people know, oh, this is where he's coming from. Yes, and the people in the village, they know, yes, his family is from here. Rafumakuno, Shani, and all the ABCD. To put everything to bed. Other than people saying that you're not a Zan. I yield. People are quiet now. I yield. People wanted to talk.
I'm coming in.
Wait a second. Can I put a contribution toward that too?
Can I go now?
Let me finish. Let me just say something, because I lost everyone before. Then I had to come back in. Maybe let's deviate away from this tribal Zambian thing from about doing that. I think the facts
So
are
look at the
very.
next.
Let's not invest too much time on it. This man is a Zambian, has been a Zambian, has been in our political circles from a long, long time ago. And I think it's best to just leave it out. It is true that PF is the one who perpetuates some things like this, but you know, it's to go in the same category of, oh, you're a Tonga, you can't be present. You're a Bemba, you can be present. We are from Eastern. We don't want to do that. I think we have developed enough to get better than that. So let's deviate from this conversation if we can.
That's Monga. And Wachanda, this is exactly the same area. When I made my first submission, I said this is too low for us to be having a conversation which is going to be talking about people's nationalities when they've been members elected by ourselves. They've been ministers, 20 years in parliament. Today, it's so cheap, it's so kind of, for me, I can't stomach it. When you start PF, when the matter become PF, he's there talking things that we are not agreeing with. In any way, you must be able to tell Macha to say, Macha, this is not us. We must not allow this platform because that is so cheap for me. We cannot be talking about nationality Amuntu, who has been a member of the parliament, elected how many times, and now is an acting president. Remember, just because of political experience, guys, let's raise the bar. This bar we are trying to take is too low. I agree with Machukonga. Let's move on to something that makes sense. This doesn't make sense.
Progress.
Okay, so let's move ahead. Gentlemen, let's move ahead. Of course, we've seen. Let's talk about the Bill 7 in its all. It's law now. So what are the implications of it being law? What are we looking at now? What's the advantage of the bill itself? And why all of a sudden everybody voted for it? Members of parliament, they sat down and they agreed and they voted for it. What's the way forward? Okay, and let's forget about all this talk that has been being parroted to say, oh, this was unconstitutional. I think that has been explained many times. And if there's somebody that didn't understand, where the legal, implications or what the court judgment was, we'll be able to provide that information. So, Bill 7 is law now. What next? Who wants to go and tackle this one?
Can I go first?
Bill 7 is gone?
Let me go ahead. Oh, is someone going ahead?
Go ahead.
Personally, I did not support Bill 7, and I have serious issues about how it came about to be. The process, I had questions about the process because there was one process which was started, pulled off. So I'm like, okay, this has been put off the table so that people go to consult. Then people go to consult, they come back and start having meetings. So now there's an integration of what is consulted and what has been said. But then I don't see a document that it comes now as, okay, these are the elements that have been consulted. These are the elements that were there. Now, this is a new document which we have, which now you people, if you have any comments about this integrated document, this is how we're going to move. What I see is a document which was there. Then when the consultations are done, a few people sit down and say, okay, we have integrated it. Here is a document, and quickly go and vote on it. The manner of voting for the members of parliament, I have strong questions around the people that are in the Patriotic Front who were not supporting it. At which point did they turn around? At which point did they go and consult their people to say, in my constituency, for instance, the UPND's position is known because it is the one driving it. So there is enough consultation within the members of parliament for the UPND and the UPND general as a government. They were a lot of consultations that they did, which made them give a rise to this. Now, here is these other members of the PF, for instance. When I heard Sandy talks about, which I liked Sandy very much, I know him personally. But when he said, I sat down, I analyzed. When I analyzed, I came up with this. I'm like, that analysis is very good. But Sandy, don't you think that analysis needs to be tackled in with your people? even a town hall of 50 people,
Yeah.
10 people, so that you
Thank
get
you. Yeah.
the views of those people, and then you say, okay, from Kanchivia, this is what I'm coming with. And everyone of those that were voting for the bill, and also making sure the people know that on this matter, I'm going to go and vote yes, because these are the things that I see. What I see is a sneak way of those members of parliament from the Patriotic Front to go and vote. Then there is issues which I will need to hear about, and maybe going forward. Is it true that the members of parliament went to Lower Zambezi? If it is it true they did? If it is true they went to Lower Zambezi and came back to vote, it is dented. That process will forever be dented, because it is something that has corruption connotations around it, unless those people can come back and say, yes, I was in Lower Zambezi for an evening out and then I came back and voted. Who took you there? Who paid for what? Chartered the planes and everything else. So, in terms of the UPND government and President HH, would I blame him for doing that? No, I wouldn't. I would blame the members of parliament, because President HH has an agenda that he wants to achieve. And if he achieves it with crooked the members of parliament, he's going to do it. If he achieves it, I want to come and see someone from that group to say now HH is wrong. I will go after that person, because then you have no moral right. If he achieved it in a crooked way using you and you accepted it, so you can't come and blame him tomorrow to say no, it's changed. No. And he used the political tactics of lowering people, like Mamacha said, low-hanging fruits. Oh, there is this Kamfisa member of parliament, there is this Karulushi, there is this Kanchiria, there is this Petauke, there is this. These are low-hanging fruits. So bring the low-hanging fruits. And then convince them, and then they vote. But when you see people behave like that, they have no spine, they have no morals. They need to leave parliament. And I can assure you, when they leave parliament, President HH would have nothing to do with them, and I would encourage him to have nothing to do with them, because the ends have been met. So what they've done, I don't agree. It's law. Let's see how it's going to be implemented. I don't agree with it.
Let me talk. So let me just counter with that one. So I just heard what you said, and you probably just verified what I said earlier about our opposition members of parliament, especially the PF, without having a direction of where they are going and what they are looking for and what they really are doing. They are basically have no agenda or no policies that they can put out there to counter what is being put out by the UPND. So what they're doing is just agreeing with everybody else. It is true that they had the time to go and meet their constituents. Like you said, they could go ahead and have like a small town hall or whatever. They did not go. But what did they do? They just went straight to vote because they agreed with the UPND. So they had the time, they were given the time, but they decided not to do it. So when you think of it, at the end of the day, we literally just have a one-party state right now, because at the end of the day, all these members of parliament don't even think there's any need to go and consult their constituents, because they just see that this thing is already good enough for a lot of people. So let us just agree with it. Is it bad? No, it's not bad, because even if you're in opposition, even if something is presented is not really popular with you, but majority of your constituents is popular, you may as well just support it. So there's nothing wrong with that. I think in the end, the members of parliament are lazy enough that they don't want to take responsibility to go and tell their people or meet with their people and tell them the reasons why they feel this is not a good idea. They did not do that. That is their problem. That's not the UPND problem. I submit.
Okay. Who wants to go in next?
I'll jump in quickly. I think the last submission made me wonder a little bit about the whole constitution thing there. Somebody mentioned the caliber of MPs. So I think for me, like I do understand the whole constitution, the whole delimitation. I think Wachanda, he did a good job at explaining to me, like, every 10 years, it's something that has to be done due to the electoral process as well. But I also wonder, though, that our issue in Zambia might not just be about how many MPs we need, because if I look at the caliber of MPs we have at the moment, like they're far and few that you can pick, and you actually know who are like actually utilizing the CDF, right? So I just wonder, like, if increasing the number will actually improve the performance of the CDF, or will it just remain as status quo. I felt that there are other aspects of the constitution that we could have focused more as the first phase. Because if you look at the UPNG constitution, you know, they really emphasizing on, like, the Bill of Rights, strengthening institutions so that we have like separation of power. And we're coming out of the first phase of the constitution, and we didn't touch any of that, right? Like if we strengthen laws, for example, surrounding corruption, because that's something that's really like hurting our own people. I thought that could have been something progressive to throw in there, but it felt very political to me. The whole Bill 7, it was more about numbers, right? Which you kind of have to understand to some extent as far as like the political circle is concerned, right? It's every president that comes into office, they always want to change the constitution that favors them to some extent. So for me, I felt we could have put some progressive clauses in there that could have been more beneficial. Because I still trying to wrap my head around how the increase in MPs is gonna help, because I know for a fact there's so many MPs that are absent, right? We're gonna give them the midterm gratuities, they're gonna get all the allowances, and it's just gonna continue, right? So I think that was my concern with the whole push. I thought it was more focused on the delimitation as opposed to other key areas that I think would be beneficial.
Wachanda, may I
Before
come in
you
now?
go,
I'll be
go.
logging out in the next 15 minutes. I've got some
Okay, go
tasks to
ahead. Go
do.
ahead.
After Bill 7, we should love our nation. Our nation has got a very good constitution. It's not rigid. Huh? It's flexible. You can change it. Even those that come to power and they think Bill 7 is not a good document, we have enough safeguards. They can just meet in parliament. No, this was not good for the Zambian people. We need to amend it. Come on. It's possible. That's the beauty with our democracy. It's possible. You can change it to suit your present likings. It's not a God's case where there's no appeal. It's not a God's case where there's no appeal. It's a it's not rigid. After Bill 7, we should not worry. If at all you come in power, or whoever comes in power, and they think this thing isn't good for Zambians, they can change it. Bill 7 is not final. It's not a God's case where there's no appeal. Our constitution is flexible. It's not rigid. It starts with we the people. If by then we the people, the 2.8 will have reduced to 1.1, there will no longer be we the people. It will be something else. They can change it to suit their timings. So we should not worry much about Bill 7. What we should worry much now, after Bill 7, is the economy. Let's see. Let's just make sure that the economy progresses, because currently with Bill 7, I don't know, did it touch anything on the economy? How is it going to affect the economy? It's just about delimitation. Of course, there will be an increase on the number of constituencies, but in terms of, let's talk about, is this Bill 7 going to affect copper production? It won't. So I don't even know. There are better things that can happen even after this Bill 7 has come in. There are many other things we can look at. We are not short of things to talk about. We're not short of ideas or problems to solve. Bill 7 was just one of them. Yes, it's gone, it's solved partially. We can look at the syllabus, education syllabus. We can look at the health sector of our country. We can look at the development agenda. We can even look at the elephant in the room, power. Let's talk about those things. I think I would want to think like that now. Politics sometimes can be
Yeah,
very
but
offensive. Yeah,
But the thing is this, like if we know those things are really important for us, right? For example, I gave an example in one of the few sessions. We lost funding for healthcare, right? We have a huge gap.
Yes.
You know,
It's back now.
you're supposed to protect the human capital, for example, right? If you're to develop, you need human capital, right? But we as
Yes.
people, we don't push the agenda to say, hey guys, how are we going to fill up the gap? You know, health is very important, right? Or be it the load shedding thing. Why don't we use those resources to have like an
This is what we
endeavor?
are supposed to be talking about.
You bring heads together to see, hey, how can we fix the short term? Because we
Yes.
know UPND have good long term plans to cover the power deficit.
Yes.
But instead, and that's what my point has been, is we invested heavily in Bill 7. That was mainly
Yeah.
about delimitation. And that's been my point all along. Why don't we put that level of energy in solving these problems that are really impacting our own people? If the president came in June, remember this Bill 7 has been going on for like half or more than half the year. If he came that time to say, hey guys, let's have an endeavor. You know, those money is spent on the Shabati constituency, whatever. You put little workshops, people go in, have ideas, you know, have people within Zambia invest, you know. So like that's what I'm talking about. So we can't just say, hey, Bill 7 is done now. But we did waste a lot of time in my point. We did waste a lot of time, and we kind of put aside all the main issues that we've been trying to solve, right? And Bill 7 came ahead of all those things. I submit.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I talk about the issues of delimitation and why I think I tend to agree with what my colleague has just said about the focus. People
Focus.
focus were taken to employ the doctors.
Mhm.
If that amount of money, first of all, there's something that people don't know. How much does it take to maintain that one member of parliament? From the fixing allowances, the vehicles that we buy for them and all that, is it the same amount of money we can say the member of parliament is maintained at this cost? And look at the amount of money which it takes to maintain one doctor. I'm telling you, we have, if imagine those 266. Okay, let me take away the 156. The difference is what? 40 plus whatever, 110. Let's say 150. Or 110 members of parliament that are there. We said this is a cost that we're going to throw to the doctors. These members of parliament, they are legislators. And where the problem has been in Zambia, let me just finish my mind.
May I interject, sir? I beg to leave. I beg to leave. I've got some assignment to do in the next 5 minutes.
Civic teacher who is civic education teacher who is saying that the constitution should be changed, like also I support change if to become, which I think I don't agree. The constitution should never be like change my jacket.
Why should it be rigid? Why should it be rigid when the society is dynamic?
Because it's not rigidity, it is safeguard. When you are going to interpret the safeguard for rigidity, then there's a problem. Safeguards are there to make sure that
times and society are dynamics.
Nobody says that the constitution cannot be changed. You understand that aspect. But you cannot be changing the constitution like Mule Chakufuada. Has enough safeguards. Now, let me just finish before you interject your matter.
Okay, thank you, sir. Come on, shooter. I give you the chance. You can refer to me and say. Okay, have a good day, people. Thanks very much.
Okay, we'll talk.
My suggestion is that you see, what people are looking for is development. Abama members of parliament under this time to say, no, my constituency is so big. I don't have time to go to each and every corner of my constituency. But then you ask them, did you visit each and every corner of the constituency when you were campaigning, but yet they still voted for you? Lelo, Kwaleba, which is the resources that Parliament has given for to you in Nyotoka and all the things that they give for you to visit the constituencies. Now, Kwaleba, when you didn't have the money, Kwalibibe. That kind of double standard should not be accepted because they've taken they want to say take the executive function of government to be the legislative function. Member of Parliament has nothing to do with development. He makes the laws and holds the executive.
Exactly.
You see, one of the things that is very devastating is where these members of Parliament think that they should go to the minister to lobby. Minister lobby to support their budget, to support their policy. To those members of Parliament, they are his bosses. Minister is not the boss of the members of Parliament in any way because he needs them when it matters most to his decisions. They hold him accountable to say, wait a minute, that's why the Public Accounts Committee is there to say, anyway, you wanted $2 million to do this road and we gave you, why have you not delivered the road?
Yep.
So that now the muntu akaba nomba minister kukaba pamona nama technical permanent secretary and everything. I appeared myself before the parliamentary committee, select committees on labor and the economy. And you know what? They would take me to task on a matter that is related to a minimum wage setting. I appeared before Honorable Stumbeko Msokotwane, he was the chairperson of that. And I had to explain the processes of what we were doing to make sure that the minimum wage was adjusted in 2018. And we made an adjustment because they held us accountable. But imagine Mwasenda member of Parliament, where the money is, which is in the local authority. Then you appear before the same person to take you to task. How can we do that? So these members of Parliament, they are not helping us. Let's put money in health sector like what. Let's put money in health sector. We have lost the budget. Money has gone because I applaud the government for that. I applaud President HH for not accepting to Zambia to be a dumping ground. What do they do? They change. Remember what I said by the IMF? This is what they've done now. But in so they come and get the minerals. But when he stands his ground, what do we do? Now, if we are Zambia, instead of saying, President HH, what is the problem? Why are these people behaving the way they are behaving? So that we rally behind him to support that which he has stood for. Now, what do? We start condemning him for losing that. We start condemning for losing the money now. Hey, now hey, what? Instead of saying, okay, I am resources to Kwetaya. Let's not take these resources here by President. Let's bring it to the health sector so that now it is balances up. But look at what we are doing. So I definitely don't think that the delimitation was a necessary tool this time. Our resources
I don't think so as well.
Yeah. So I wish he could listen and say, let's see how that goes. But it's a dangerous trajectory in terms of the resource allocation. We will be in so much problems when it comes to actually getting these people what they need to function. We should place this money in central government and make them deliver on the projects.
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely. I think you know and I'm on the nail there. I think that's been the problem with us over the years is prioritizing. We don't really seem to even the discourse. Look at how much the bill 7 has gathered more conversations than all our problems, our main, even more than load shedding, more than all these issues we face. So I think we need to be doing something different. We need to be doing something. If we know, for example, we know right now corruption. Corruption is one of the things that always brings us down. It makes ordinary people not get what they're entitled to, right? So I feel like if we want to start amending the constitution, that's a good opportunity for us to strengthen, the economic aspect as well, like so that people have access to the things that they're entitled to, right? It's like what I was telling somebody, like it's good when we have all these people investing, and we make all these pronouncements, say, oh, this such and such has invested in such and such a mine or project, but we want to hear like what policies do we have in place in terms of like, when that investor comes in, what are they going to do to the community in the surrounding areas, right? You know, we don't want to just hear like, oh, they're just causing pollution, right? Because at the end of the day, you look at where these mines are in Solwezi area there, you know, things are going to start getting expensive for those people, right? So we need to start creating policies that is supposed to help those people as well. Like those people, when they come in, they also like, just like back in the day, I grew up in Wansha, you know, we used to have a place to go and swim, you know, there are tennis courts, you know, people that the community can go and enjoy and at least, you know, use. But like we want to see that as well. We want to see that before we make a deal, you know, with an investor, you know, we push that agenda to say, hey, look, these are our resources. You know, we just don't want you to get our resources, you know, take them to where you're coming from, and then we're left with nothing, right? So like at the end of the day, we need to make sure we prioritize what it needs to be done, you know, as far as like what we're, because we were brought in on a premise that will fix a lot of things. So the moment we start deviating to things that are not fixing those problems we want to fix, the more I think we're gonna be, you know, digging a hole or lagging behind. Anyways, I started having that.
Sorry, gentlemen, I had cut off. I don't know what happened to my phone. Yeah, so something happened to my phone. So, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear you as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So there's something, I don't know what happened. The phone they suddenly cut off, and I wasn't able to stream. I think we've touched on on all the basics and stuff like that. But me, what I wanted actually to bring out, because there was a question that was posed to say why Bill 7 and why all this energy on it. You know, instead of talking about developmental issues. And it just rang to my mind. I was like, look, I think the bill itself is something which is progressive, because it's touching on issues or areas that us as Zambians need to actually pay attention to. Now, one, the delimitation itself is development. Now, there was a question that was posed by Lagazia, talking about, well, these people, they've been to everywhere when they were campaigning, did not go everywhere. Now all of a sudden don't go everywhere. Like, okay, you just campaign once, but now for the next 5 years, can you be doing that on a daily basis? So that's where, you know, the question of how vast is your area, how, not in terms of just geography, but how many people are there? What's the population? Now, if we're looking at, for example, 300,000 people, okay, and then you want to bring a development to that area where there are 300,000 people, and then because, you know, for example, we put it in a way that, this is very huge. 150 people live in one area, and another 150 live in a different area. Okay. Now, you as a member of parliament or whatever, you're going in, you want to bring that development, you want to bring in make sure that people have hospitals, you know, there's schools for children, and ABCD. How are you going to do it if you're limited in terms of first resources? You won't be able to manage the 300,000 people because your resource envelope is limited. You can only do so much. Secondly, the geography. From one area to the other, there's a huge distance. And, for example, if you have to build a hospital here in one area, that area also need the hospital. Okay? So now, if we're looking at when we delimited it, we're looking at a double, we're looking at more teachers being employed, more doctors being employed, more hospitals being built. We're looking at children being able to access the quality education that they deserve and need. So these are the issues and areas where Bill 7 is tackling and handling. You know,
That's the question for you.
What's the question?
The question is that, do you think everything you have mentioned can happen without delimitation?
No, it can't.
So the thing that can bring schools, roads, hospitals, infrastructure, road, it is delimitation.
Exactly.
That is what can bring that.
Yes. Look, I've just given you a simple example. Look, an area is huge, okay? And if an area is huge and vast, okay, you can only reach at a certain point, okay? And the resource envelope can only manage, you know, if you say, okay, this is my budget, 40 million, boom, you put a bridge here, you put this, you put a school, you build a hospital here. What about other areas?
But you are telling me that now, if the area is vast and you are given 40 million, which goes half of that big constituency, so you want to cut it up to that half and then create another constituency. What would happen if you allocated the double the resources for that vast area?
Yeah, but well, look. Okay, now you're talking about the in terms of you know, like a member of parliament. Okay, so a member of parliament, whoever is the member of parliament, let's say
yes,
Ngababa pela, you know, right now ikuma 40, but and then also no, take kupere 80. Okay, so I mean, look, it's only one man, and it can only be at one place at a time.
80 million. Right?
Yeah, but look what's under. You know, like at the end of the day, right? There's councils, there's town clerks. You know, all those things that they play an important role. Even when you look at the CDF policy right now, right? Yes. The MP is just like spearheading, right? But the community, the council, the town clerks, you know, all those, the mayor, they are the ones who are meeting with people and coming up with what they need to use the resources for. Right? So even if you increase the 80 million, for example, increase from 40 to 80, that won't change the fact that, you know, it's the community that makes the ultimate decision on how that money is going to be spent. And so what's the point? What's the point in having another MP who is going to come at an expensive cost, right? If you look at how much the expenditure that just comes from one MP, I think our friend there gave a good example. It's massive. It's massive. Right?
You can actually employ 5 doctors from maintaining one MP.
From maintaining one MP. At the end of the day, for me, this is what I stand with this delimitation thing. The thing is this: UPND were against the delimitation when in opposition, and you know why? Why they were against? They are on record. You know what they said? They said no, it's gonna eliminate the democracy aspect of
UPND wasn't against delimitation.
They were not against delimitation.
No. Me, I followed that topic. Yeah, I followed it.
What's under? UPND were against delimitation because they feared that.
Show me where and tell me where.
I'll send you a link.
No, those are against delimitation. UPND was never said no to delimitation.
Okay, so why did they say no to Bill 10?
That's a good question. So that's a good question. So the thing is this: there's a difference between Bill 7 and Bill 10. If you had come to last week's podcast where Simuuwe was actually analyzing the two documents, you'll be up to speed. Now, what happened is this: in Bill 7 only has 13 articles or clauses, whatever. Bill 10 had, I don't know how many, more than 50. So what we were saying, the UPND was saying is there are some articles that we agree with, which delimitation was one of them, and some that we do not agree with. All those things from Bill 10
Delimitation Mwebantu is part of also the constitution, even in the old constitution. It's there.
Yes,
actually that has always been recommended when after a certain time of a period of time. Maybe I think it's 10 years if I'm not mistaken.
10 years.
They have to look at it and see the reasons why they should have it. I think it's not something that the UPND just created. I think UPND's argument about whatever the delimitation is the idea of, yes, you're right about allocation of resources and dividing things in order to reach the people the right way. Some of these constituencies are really big. Believe it or not, some MPs are only seen on campaign and never seen again. And not because they don't want to go there, but it's because they just cannot reach the places. And that's you can just imagine, even if they gave them more money, I think that some money would just not even get there, and maybe they wouldn't even know as far as how that money is being used in that way. But I think if they make them smaller, and give me a minute, if they make them smaller, it will be somehow well managed, or maybe even monitored, and even maybe people will be working and be seen to be doing something. I believe it will have all kind of arguments from every corner to another. Other people would say, well, it's a waste of money. Other people would say we could have employed this many people. You're right. All arguments are great, but at the end of the day, delimitation is in the constitution. It is something that has been seen that it has to be looked at when time comes. And this time around, Zambian population is growing bigger constantly. It's not going any lower. It's growing bigger constantly, and we can see that some people are served and some people are really not served. So,
but you see, the challenge for me, and this is what I've raised, is the people don't need members of parliament. They need resources. And
it's not the members of parliament issue. I think you're right. Resources are going to be there, but members of parliament are pretty much just like managers of these resources.
They are not even
representatives of that.
Yeah, they're not even managing. That's the point.
That's a problem, because they're over they're overstretched. Maybe some of them are just lazy. These things will be.
Look, can I finish, please? Can I finish? Then you can jump in and correct me if you think I'm wrong. The question that I'm having is this. You see, the members of parliament want to give themselves a function which is not theirs.
Yes.
Whatever you are discussing about monitoring, choosing, that is an executive function of government. First of all, government has ministries. Then government has provincial office, which is a mini ministry in each of the provinces. And then it has the districts. So those are the people that are tasked to implement the programs for government. Members of parliament aim at legislation and to go and see that what they've apportioned in the budget and the programs are running in those communities. They don't need to sit in the councils and see, now
they don't sit in the council.
This what we start with. This law is going to give them power to do that. They will sit for where the money is being shared. It's not their function. It is not their function. And this means of saying, because let me tell you one thing, a member of parliament cannot do anything to any person in the executive. A member of parliament can show up and I can say, I'm leaving. As a civil servant, if I see a member of parliament, he is there at my discretion, I can tell him to go to hell. And nothing is going to do about it. Because he has no powers to enforce anything. He doesn't have anything. And if he tries to pay, I can cite him for interference and abuse of authority. That is how members of parliament have nothing, no control. They can't do anything. If he finds a civil servant who has not done anything, there's nothing he can do other than to complain. He's not going to deal with anything because of separation of powers. These guys want to take the executive function they want to eat with both hands. They want this side, they are having some executive function and some executive control of the resources and where they're being applied and monitoring them and everything. And then run also to go and make the laws. Now, we're going to create a problem here. There will be a very serious management problem because members of parliament would want to see everything so that they are seen The person who must be seen is the president through his policy, not the member of parliament. Now, members of parliament want to say, oh, I am the one. You are not the one. It's a government program. It's an executive function. That's why permanent secretaries in the province at the ministry level. And each of these ministries have a full directorate. If you look at planning, implementation, monitoring, there are people that have been employed to do that. And those people, through the lines ministries, report. That's why in the Kwaba question about a development in a certain area, the member of parliament raises the question in parliament. Do you know what? The minister, we used to crack the night to prepare the minister's report, which means within your ministry functions, the directors that you have, you go into the ministries, get information about what is that, and then you prepare a write-up. And as the PS, you will be in parliament seated listening to your minister answer. If there's a question that you create an answer there and saying this is what the position that there is about this. It's not a member of parliament's job. We are missing the point, guys. We are definitely missing it. Those guys are there. 5 years, someone has been in parliament. What have they said? Yeah. Kanyama
they don't even go there. Yeah, they don't even go there at all. No matter how small or big the MP.
Let me just give you a last one. Kanyama is 5 kilometers from Mandahill. 4 kilometers from the State House. Yet to floods year in out. All this period of time. I'm not giving it UPND or PF or whatever. It has been there. Don't we have members of parliament there? Have they not? What have they done about it? Even if you separate Kanyama today, will the floods end? They will not end.
I think that's a different. Look, Bakazia.
This
is a different topic on its own.
The jinx of the matter is that it's an example of why people should be given resources to act on certain things, and not a person who in parliament.
Okay. So let's break it. First of all, let's break it down. 10 to 10 to break down. We know delimitation. Okay, because there are reasons why everybody, all members of parliament, voted for it, including the ones that were against it at the first, but at the end, they voted for it.
After they came from Lower Zambia.
No, Maria
I think I don't know about the Lower Zambia thing, but I still also find it strange that publicly, you are against the Bill 7, and then you come voting there. Now, speaker Malaysia now on top of it.
No, Mona. Okay, listen. I think people. Here's the thing: people don't realize that this bill is actually a good bill. But here's what it is: politics come in the way. You have to separate politics from national issues and national matters. You remember when Bill 10 was voted against?
There was this one there.
But PF for bachitire. Bachari bekera kumuchikonko kukunengane kumutima yako ati no. Whatever UPND does, that was the mission. If you see, the mission was because Bill 10 was stopped by the UPND.
Oh, you could use 1 and 1?
No, like you could. Sorry. I got you guys.
Just mute yourself.
I got you.
So what happened was, but PF, because the UPND government stopped Bill 10, it was sort of like a revenge. Now if we're 10, let's stop Bill 7. Without actually even really realize what they read it, they realized that no, it's actually a good bill, but because of politics, my politics.
So Wachanda. If somebody also, I know a lot of people also that have raised a point. I don't know if it's a good point or not. They also have strong opinion that this is all political driven.
No,
this whole process is all political driven. Because look, at the end of the day, it's also a numbers game, right? It's a numbers game here, right? think about this, right? If you create extra MPs, right? Most of the time, the guy who wins the presidential elections, right? The guy who wins the presidential election, barring the Mwanawasa one, if you move Mwanawasa one, right? Because we all know what happened. That yeah, I think Mazoka pretty much won that, right? Most of the time, the guy who wins the election in Zambia usually has a lot of member of parliament, right? Because if you've seen Nakuma campaign, right, people really go with the president at the end of it, even though the two are separate, but for the most part, that's why Gamasana Kuma by election, Kulabanama endorsements, right? They do a lot of endorsements. Say, hey, move voted or because look, I'm the president, I'll bring development to your area, right? So the issue here is you create extra MPs, right? Meaning, once you win the election, you're pretty much going into power with a majority seats, right? On top of that, those proportional seats will go your way as well. Those new elected, appointed member of parliaments that has to do with the youth, the women, all those will go towards your numbers well. So I guess the point now is like, okay, how does that now create democracy? So meaning every bill that goes to parliament, nobody will oppose to it. We won't have a situation like how like UPNG stood out against Bill 10 and didn't pass. We're not gonna have any of that. Pretty much whoever comes into power, most likely we're gonna have majority seats going forward based on what we've done.
Okay. I think the thing is this. We're misinterpreting Bill 7. Bill 7, it's not a UPND bill. It's a bill for the whole country.
How is it a bill for the whole country?
Well, because everybody's going to be represented. It doesn't. If for example, you're talking about the representation, right? That clause for representation. It doesn't mean that the UPND kalasala disabled 5 from you. No.
It's gonna be proportional, right? The way they use in the bill is proportional, right? So if you have if you have majority seats, means you get more women and youth. So if let's say UPND ends up with like 60% of the MPs, right? Out of the 260, out of the let's say the total number, yeah, right? So if they got 60% of the seats, and let's say they have to allocate that extra 40, right, across all the parties, UPNG will automatically get 24. They'll get more than half of those just by them having more seats, right? So that's the fear, right? I'm not saying like it's the invitation process is completely wrong, but I'm just saying like that's the argument people see, right? To say, okay, then what's the point of this democracy setting when the chances of the winning party having more seats than everybody else, right? So that's the whole thing. So no matter how you cut and slice it, that even if you use the proportional thing, it's gonna lean towards whoever has the most number of seats. And we all know the winning party always tends to have more seats.
Anyway, I think you're overthinking this one.
It's not even overthinking. It's not overthinking. It's just numbers. These are numbers. These are numbers.
But look. Here's what I can say.
It's just numbers. This is math. I'm a prime number. I'm an even number. Numbers don't lie, right? Numbers don't lie. No, they don't.
But I think since we're a democratic country, and we run on the principles of democracy.
Yes.
There is no way one a UPND party can have control 100% on who is going to represent when it comes to the youth, disabled, the women. Okay.
Don't use 100%.
Okay,
Where
so-
are you getting 100% from?
Where is 100%? That's under proportion.
Okay.
Read your bill 7. Read bill 7.
Okay, so listen to this. Okay, okay. First of all, let's look at the delimitation. First of all, what is the definition of delimitation? This is a legal process of reviewing, redrawing constituency and ward boundaries so that representation in parliament and councils reflect population changes, growth, migration, and urbanization. So as we're moving in this world, that's why it's even written in stone in the constitution of Zambia that we need to do this every other 10 years, right? So if we did not do it now, we would have waited another 10 years to do it. Okay, but was that going to benefit the Zambian people? No, we have to do it when it's time. So now, 10 years ago, the population was different, and now the population is also different. Even the needs of Wabena Zambia, the population is different from the way it was 10 years ago. So we need to start thinking, to say, okay, fine. If now abantu abalekala mobali 500 nomba nabafika kuma 2 pin twala stashani we want to twala stashani bama yobala na bekala palia but if you kuchipatala because she has to travel 2 hours to the next hospital.
Give them the resources that reflect the number. And there's enough structures to supervise and monitor those resources, which government, executive part of government, has already structured and given through decentralization. So if you're that, yes, everyone knows population yakula, population ingayakula, vapeleni ama resources so that they can manage those areas, and the government, the executive part of government, can manage that. It will not manage that has nothing to do with a member of parliament. Member of parliament has no executive function. So he can't supervise anyone. Because game one, let's say, okay, this is an office of the member of parliament. What can member of parliament do to me, who is a civil servant? What can member of parliament? Nothing.
And I think you're confusing the people. Look, the job of the member of parliament is to legislate ngaya kuria ku parliament ngai kala palia kupanga malozi atana legislate no kutwala ama no kutana nikane lobby ama development projects oko naikala kusantia kulia takwa bemisebo ndefwaya nkakule emisebo nkapangina ama secondary schools.
That is not the job of a
decentralization.
Function power to the member of parliament because you centralize.
Decentralization
is the executive part of things. You can come and delimitate later on and stuff like that when the executive functions have now grown, just to make sure that maybe the legal framework is not covering enough in those areas which you see lacking, and maybe taking into unique needs. For instance, Kurima Mines, a member of parliament to run with the mining regulations, NAMA laws which are going to advance the right use of the minerals there where he is. It is not to see how many schools are built there. He asks those things in parliament. Not to authority to it is not his function. It is not. It is executive function, and that's why government, when they were devolving power through decentralization, they created these systems under local authorities, back town planners, health inspectors, surveyors, amashan, these powers closer to where the people are. It is not the member of parliament. Remember, the member of parliament has no power whatsoever. And why should the member of parliament lobby? How can the member of parliament be lobbying to the people he supervises? Because the legislature supervises the executive.
Okay,
So why
okay.
should the legislators go to that
Okay,
lobby?
mwalanda sana lekeni mipusheko.
Njipusheni.
Nga abantu nga bayima sometimes walanda ba MP tatwamuna kono tatwabeshiba.
Na mushocho bebe mina ba MP because MP eufuile ku parliament kulya to take care of balya abantu. Member of parliament is seen through works. Not
what I think saying the same thing just in a different way.
Member of parliament bamumwena mu mirimo kumumona nibijanye influence from parliament kulya imwe banani mwe local government twali mupere 5 million kukula omusebo wakufuma kumayiteneke ukutwala kuisa okufuma kusamfya ukuya kwa Mwamfuli twali mupere mpia ishindalama esi and ishindalama umusebo mwatire mwana apanga in this 1 year. Why have you not made this road? Iwe minister iwe, why have you not made this road? Because in the Mwamona, so that minister ngatapangile. That's why muneshita create a problem. Parliament
what's the problem?
Kuitina parliament that you don't have to appear before parliament. Now you have made the parliament like chako angalila coffee. No, parliament takes kumubika pakapendelo as executive to make sure that amari resources yamuna njile na yaya kubantu ngatakuli nista kubelele so that member of parliament will not support the president. I don't understand president. Tell me why I should come and endorse your program if I have been asking for a road which has not been done. Sesheke, for instance, Livingston, Sesheke, Parliament constituencies, 3 constituencies there. Why is it that the road is still in a deplorable state? Those people can tell me that we will not be part of this Bill 7 if these roads are not being done. The president, through his structures, will sit pakapendelo kutinati. I'm a member of parliament. Let me give them that they want. The minister of law government is saying, I have 3 members of parliament. I'm not ready to lose here. Can we have the road? That is how members of parliament influence. It is not to go kazunguluka mnati onomba grade yambo kusebo musebo. Tefye shobachanda.
Anyway, the question I asked you is nishi badanda with abantu at tatwamuna wa minister. Listen to this. If what you're echoing, is like that's not the job of a member of parliament, then people shouldn't be complaining because they don't see him, because you're saying it's not his job. But because road Livingston is a shaky road. Livingston is a shaky. That has been bad for a long time, and it's an economical road. Okay. Nga muleya mwafuma ku Livingston mulefa okuya kukuza shake road ya livi chine.
Okay,
very bad.
Yes.
Now, member of parliament abantu abantu abekala mu area mule bana abantu akwalesa twala nkudanda ula kuli banani bala mwe njiwe musebo nishite njirawe lekeni ntwale na yamkushita lobby ku parliament mbebe njere mwe bantu akwalesa pereri ndalama ukule umusebo oyu ube pa international standard. Okay, that's his job.
Let me educate you something there, Bachanda. Let me educate you just a little bit with other people that are listening. Member of parliament kazungula na banani badiabos, they come together. They will not go to lobby because the Java budget, this 2026 budget, Badiama members of parliament, they have to see it. Musebo wa kazungula uli pay samula inyama budget so that they approve the budget. Ngatamuri musebo wabo uja, they will say we are not supporting this budget. Government go and look for resources put in this budget. We will support the budget. That is how a member of parliament influences decisions, because he's saying, budget muletire kuno, tetinsumine, muye mukupera bakadde abaleshana baspeaker baleshana amayenge twabapera indalama omusebo awe
That's irrelevant naibwe.
ifeta tulefwaya omusebo tumone mu budget elo nga bawumono omusebo mu budget bawusa approve elo baya nomba ku bantu through the political structures, constituency offices, town hall meeting, one meeting, or maybe quarterly or whatever, maybe once a year or even twice a year. Ine umuseva kambo kupanga day so by minister na balanda. This is a program that we have. So come this day, the road will be starting to make here. Mweba kwete aba anabekara along the road, they can come and work and show the timeline. Chapwa uyo museva nga wapangika member of parliament amone kati uyo member of parliament noti batwala budget apali umusebo. Ero lyabaleta achita mwali mugamune namuna tsesheke Mongu road tamuli ero nomba aima ye asumi na budget ero budget yapita without umusebo nomba ero lya nomba asa yakubalwa nisho umusebo tabapere no namba mukusta lobby. This is what creates this lobby which makes the executive function of government think they are more important than the legislature, because nomba bayamba okuyimona kwati eba kweta amaka bala bakwetenda lama kulya ero mwa mukuba papa atero tupere ninde lama sha musebo ero bapera kuka nono abena ka ngombe kulya abena Romeo bapera ko mbaka nono na balaba kukatombola ka nono pangeni. It doesn't
so
simple
anyway na time yafika but let's close kuti twalanda paka bwacha but let's close. You can put up your last remarks and I'll put up my last remarks and let's close the show.
My last remarks are that probably I've been away for a long time, so probably I might have talked over people and then wafu and probably this is one of the things. If my colleagues that were online and if probably you thought that you and I was not giving you that, maybe because I've been away for a long time and I needed to get some of these things off the chest. I promise next week I'll be more listening. So I even know it. And Bachikonka, please, if you are around, we need that. And I just thank you, once again. And also that, let's see, the president needs help, firstly, no matter what we say, because at times he needs to be told what is very uncomfortable so that he can start to put things in the right perspective. So thank you very much, Watan.
No problem. You're welcome. That's what it is. I mean, it's a democracy, and we invite everybody at the Red Tag Media. Whatever you do or say, it's your opinion. Of course, we will check and hear what you're saying and give alternative solutions or alternative practical. Of course, the UPND government is one of those governments that are actually leading the way in how democracy should be led in Africa in the 21st century. A lot of people will write books about this generation of politicians, and the advanced political mind that is there with the UPND. And the old politics are gone. That's why, the opposition, they need to adjust themselves, rearrange and start thinking on how they can regroup or maybe, do something different. You know what I mean? Like the song goes, if you can't do, just go to the farm and, so the UPND, we are here and we're going to be here for a long time. Because we are a progressive party with progressive ideas. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. We're going to meet next week again. We will, put out, topics ahead so that everybody is, aware. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe we might have one in the middle of the week, but, thank you. Have a Merry Christmas and have a happy holiday. Goodbye.
Thank you.